Hey everyone, my name is Kyle and you are now watching the Appleboy WNY channel. Before we start this video, if you haven't seen the video on how to prune an apple tree, go back and watch that one before you watch this. This is going to be almost a second series of that pruning video, a little add-on, and I'll drop the link to that video in the description. Today we're going to focus on pruning a young tree, one of the first few years of pruning this tree in the orchard setting or in your yard in the back home. So let's get right into it, and this is going to be a little bit shorter video, but hopefully a lot of good information that you can use on your trees. So when pruning a tree, the leader is one of the most important things. So what I do on a young tree is the first place I start is the leader. And then I work down the tree to eliminate big branches, steep branches. So I'm in a young block of trees now, and what I was saying about with the leader is you want one leader, so that can be the growing one. You don't want it like this where you're unsure, okay, which one is the main one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim them up like that, so that way there's one nice leader up to the top. Here there's no really problem there. Same with here, that's all good. It's just occasional, like this one here, it has a flower bud on the end, you can see that, but I'm going to cut that there, cut that one there to give this some more power. Now last year, this is the only growth we got last year because we were so dry. So most of these are pretty well in good shape. This row you can see it's got a little bit more work to do, but I'm singling them out to that main leader. Fruit bud there, I'm going to get rid of that one. Fruit bud there on that terminal. And then here we got a short squatty tree, possibly from deer damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this tree up like that, so we can get some push into the leader. Look at this one down here. We got one that's sneaking. That one's going to take off before we know it, and it's going to be to the top. Now looking over here on these Premier Honeycrisps, you can see they're not as far advanced as these pink ladies. You can see the pink ladies, the cluster's already there, the fruit bud, and over here it's still tucked away on the inside. So not much to do on these trees, but you know, there are some trees with quite a bit of branches, so we're going to go through and just take off a few of these branches to set it up for next year, leaving them long so we can get that renewal growth. This one's long, it's unproportional for the tree. Same here, we got all these branches. So this one's a weak one, and you want to try to take from every side of the tree to make sure you don't have it unbalanced. Now this one's a wild one. Maybe that got damaged by a deer or something like that, but this used to be a limb, but now this is our leader. So we got this one that's getting out of control, so I'm going to cut that there to the fruit bud, and I'm going to trim that one back like this to that younger branch. Now this one, the diameter of this limb is almost the size of the trunk, so just by rule you got to cut that one out. And then down here we got a low branch, it's below my knee, so I cut that one off flush because I don't want renewal growth there. Again, here we got some damage, so it all depends on what each block has to offer and the differences in growing. So first off, you can see these branches are very steep and large, so I'm cutting them off. And then down here we have a little bit steeper branches and bigger branches, but really a lot of these branches we use the fruit to naturally train these branches. So you can see this one has quite a bit uphill, and especially in your backyard where you have a little bit more sunlight and things like that, you can use these fruit clusters. As they get bigger, the weight of the apples is slowly going to train this branch down, and at the end of the year this will be a nice flat branch. So I want to give you caution in your trees in your yard to not shorten these branches and think that they're too steep, because these will actually flatten out as the year goes on, and will show that as the apples get heavier, and you can use those as a natural training of these branches. These trees are young, so they want to grow up as quick as they can. That's why they're so aggressive, especially on this tree here. You see aggressiveness. Now this one is just way too steep. I would cut this one back like this to that fruit right there. But a branch like this, I wouldn't be concerned, because it's going to do, it's going to crop, and it's going to slowly train those branches down. But anyways, you could shorten branches like this to that fruit, which then you'll have a nice limb. Same with a short one like this. These apples will come on there and bend down. So as we get going through the year, especially these trees are a little bit older, but if you just planted them this spring, I would recommend making sure you have no apples on the tree, so that way the tree can put all of its energy into growing the tree and not putting that energy into the fruit. Your second year, second and third year, you definitely can have a few apples down on the lower part of the tree, still taking off the apples on the leader here. So if this was a tree and we wanted to have some apples on here, I would take, first of all, I'm going to take and single out the leader. I'm going to get rid of that apple, and then all these, you can see the pink, that's the blossoms coming. So if we look here, the blossoms right inside there. But I'm going to take off all the apples, still leaving the foliage so this tree can have a lot of good energy push into it. But I'm taking off all the blossoms on the, really on the first 2 foot of this tree, so that way it doesn't put any energy into developing those blossoms, and therefore we'll put it into the leader to grow this tree up. So different methods we can get into, but right here you can see this tree is come unfastened from the wire. But basically what we do is we use these little branches to lock it in, and then we just spiral the tree around this wire, and you can see it's fastened for the wind and all that when it blows it around, and it won't come undone. Whether you're using bamboo, conduit, it doesn't matter. It's just important once a year goes on after you trim your tree, and we'll get into that in videos as it goes along, but making sure your tree is securely fastened and is not blown around in the wind. When it's blown around in the wind, it'll actually grow slower compared to if it's fastened and has a nice sturdy support to raise it up, to grow it up high. So with that, that's going to conclude this video. I hope you learned something. If you have a question, drop it in the comments down below. There's a lot to this, and the trees look a lot different. They're, especially at a young age, they're all growing different until you kind of train them the method that you want. Every tree kind of has a mind of its own and a little bit different growing characteristics. So keep on the lookout. Spring's getting real busy here on the farm. We got a lot of good content coming out. So be on the lookout for new videos in the next few weeks. Hopefully there's going to be a lot we'll be able to post and show you along the way. So with that, thanks for watching,